When patients come to your office for care, your ability to provide treatment may be out of your hands. Treatment options are often determined by healthcare policies and laws that are made by state and federal government. You have an opportunity to shape decisions made in Washington, D.C. and your state capital. Your patients are constituents and voters, and you are a credible source of healthcare information for elected officials. This pyramid shows how your influence with elected officials increases as you move from being one of many voters to joining a smaller group of people who are active in the political process and take the time to build relationships with their lawmakers. You can make a difference when you get involved.
Hi, Dr. Head.
Congressman Scott.
Pleasure to meet you.
So nice of you to take the time to meet with me today.
Thanks for coming in to D.C. to meet with me.
It's my pleasure. My office is located in your district, and I see many of your constituents as patients.
We will role play an interaction between Dr. Stephen Head, a podiatrist and APMA member, and Will Scott, a member of the APMA staff who is serving as a congressman for this video. When you meet with elected officials, show that you are aware of their history of working on healthcare issues.
Congressman, I really like the support you've given to the bill that allows our veterans better access to care by podiatrists.
It's important to get to the point quickly and make the most of your meeting time.
So, how about that game last night? Amazing win. Did you catch it?
You know, I missed the game last night, but it looks like we have a pretty good team this year.
Yeah.
But I know your time is valuable, so let me get straight to the point. We need your support for H.R. 1542. This would allow podiatrists to be recognized as physicians in the Medicaid laws. If we're recognized as physicians, then patients can see us more regularly, and when we see those patients, especially diabetics, more regularly, we can reduce healthcare spending.
You will have more impact when you talk about your own experience with patients.
Let me give you an example from my own practice. We see patients every 2 or 3 months for what we call routine care. When they haven't been there for 6 months or a year, I often ask them where they've been. These diabetic patients say things like, Medicaid doesn't cover this type of service. My insurance has limitations on my number of visits. By the time they return to my office, the problems they've developed are so severe, the only course of therapy is amputation. These amputations require hospitalizations, and these become prolonged and an increasing burden to our healthcare system. If we could see these patients more frequently, we could avoid these kind of pitfalls that diabetics face. And if we did, it would save taxpayers and Medicaid a great deal of money. If you'd consider supporting H.R. 1542, this would help to get podiatrists recognized as physicians under that act.
Don't feel like you must have all of the answers or respond to questions to which you don't know the answer, such as speculation about why other organizations oppose your legislation, or questions about the federal budget.
Now, I know everything comes with a cost. What's the CBO score for this bill? That's going to be really important for us to know before we can lend our support to the bill.
I understand. I want to make sure I give you accurate information with regards to that. So let me contact the APMA staff, and then we'll get back in touch with you about those numbers in the next week or so.
Great, appreciate it. We'll look for that information.
It is essential to make the ask. Don't leave the meeting without asking for a commitment or making a plan to follow up.
Well, I really appreciate you coming in today to talk about this and coming all the way out to D.C. to meet with me. That's a lot of information that we were not aware of. But unfortunately, my staff is letting me know that I need to get to a committee meeting, so I'm going to need to go now.
I understand. But before you go, could we count on you to co-sponsor H.R. 1542? This bill is going to allow for better access to care for Medicaid patients, and ultimately that will cut costs.
We're considering it, but we're going to have to review all the information before we can make a final decision.
Okay, I understand. We'll get back to you with the information I promised you earlier and talk to your office staff about that.
Here are tips to avoid common pitfalls. Don't guess, speculate, or speak outside your area of expertise. Stick to what you know and defer other questions to APMA staff. Don't mention fundraisers or donations when talking to elected officials. That's against the law. Don't talk about how you voted in recent elections. It is necessary to separate policy from politics. Don't get sidetracked by side issues. Focus on the purpose of your meeting and use phrases such as, "What's important is," or "What my patients tell me," to get back to your topic. And never argue. Make your case and listen politely. Always thank lawmakers for their time, even if you disagree with their position on the issue. Finally, speak with confidence. You are an expert and have a valuable story to tell. What's important to remember is that talking to elected officials is part of advocating for patients. When you speak up about healthcare issues, you are advancing both your profession and the care of your patients. Your voice makes a difference.